Capcom still teabagging AlphaOmegaSin. I decided to create a part 2. Mostly because I was going through different recordings of the video and found out that I forgot to put vital information that would have kind of helped solidify the context of the video within of itself. But before we jump into the meat of that video, why don't we have AlphaOmegaSin himself tell you what he thinks about microtransactions? And then you can tell me if he's having a gamer zombie moment.
A victim of microtransactions. Probably one of the only words any self-respecting gamer does not want to fucking hear before the inevitable release and purchase of a major game that they plan on getting and enjoying the living fuck out of. Microtransactions, as many of us know, really are just nickel and diming the living shit out of somebody because, well, they can. And to do it on major releases makes the most amount of sense because that's where you're going to net the most money. And the most backlash, but, you know, dollars and cents versus complaints and unhappy fans. Microtransactions everywhere, just litter the entire game with it. Greed has changed, gaming has changed. That's why looking at history is important, so that you can learn from the mistakes of others so that you do not tread the same exact path. And for anybody out there that's going to say the tried and true, well, nobody's putting a fucking gun to your head and demanding that you do it. No one is. No shit, Sherlock. Glad that you decided to go and bring that kind of fucking thought process up to the forefront, but allow me to go and dissect it and break it apart for you. Nobody is putting a gun to anybody's head to go and purchase any of these things, but this isn't exactly the best approach to go with whenever you're taking a game, designing it in a specific way, and then making it difficult to go and do some of those things, so then putting this shit out there is going to be a no fucking brainer. So it's just charging people additional money. You should not be defending this kind of crap. If you love and enjoy a franchise and a company so fucking much and they start doing stupid shit like this, what the fuck does it say about you whenever you decide, oh man, I'm gonna go and support all those crappy ass decisions? Because being a yes man is what you're all about, right? Such a fucking fanboy that you're blind, can't see anything, right? And can you believe there's fucking dimwits out there that are actually defending this? This is why this kind of shit happens. Truthfully, this is why this kind of shit happens. I understand when somebody's like, you don't have to buy it to a certain extent, because yes, you are right to a very minute extent that I don't have to purchase it. But if you support it in any kind of way, this is how you get dicked over all the time.
Alright, so let's just remember that shit rolls downhill. This is something that needs to be learned and taught, apparently, when it comes to Street Fighter V, having DLC characters that you can unlock by playing the game, which is a cool thing, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here complaining about that. Or you can unlock them. Now that is what I have an issue with. Because ironically, even AlphaOmegaSin has had issues with microtransactions. And as I have said before in other videos, you cannot sit there and complain about something in a video game, in this case, microtransactions in another game, and not do it for another game. And for what reason? Because you can unlock the characters by playing them? That does not justify you not voicing your thoughts and concerns and telling gamers how much bullshit that is. I mean, had AlphaOmegaSin actually done that instead of just shrugging it off his shoulder like it was nothing, just an annoying little fly. So let's just jump into this, shall we? Electronic Arts introduced Online Pass. Gamers didn't really like it. Some gamers were voicing their thoughts and concerns, others were just kind of ignoring it. It doesn't affect them at this moment in time type scenario. And what happened? Gamers started to support it, and how did that shit roll downhill? Other developers started to pick it up. Why? Because they saw gamers were supporting it from Electronic Arts, so if they're going to support it for Electronic Arts, obviously they're going to support it for Ubisoft, Activision, etc., 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 etc. And gamers did. The introduction to DLC, if we were to travel back in time, gamers thought that it was going to be the equivalent of a PC expansion pack. Is that what it was? No, it ended up being microtransactional bullshit. Stuff that used to be in the game that you could unlock by actually playing the game. But shit rolled downhill because there wasn't enough gamers voicing their thoughts and concerns about it, or there were gamers that were just shrugging it off their shoulders. It doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect the games that I'm playing, whatever the case may be, and there were those that were actually supporting it. And because of this, shit rolled downhill. We ended up with Day 1 DLC, pre-order bonus DLC, special edition games that basically all they come with is Day 1 DLC. We end up with season passes, which are nowhere near the equivalence of an expansion pack. Nowhere near the equivalence of an expansion pack. And then, of course, we also have the introduction of announcing DLC before the game is even out on store shelves. And even that within of itself, shit rolled downhill. Because then developers, when they actually started doing season passes, then started to actually announce season passes before the game was even out on store shelves. And guess what? That very concept rolled downhill again because a lack of gamers voicing their thoughts and concerns about something or just completely ignoring it because somehow it doesn't affect them at that moment in time. And how did it get worse? Now we're starting to see expansion packs on the home console and even the PC being announced before the game is even out. And anyone who has played games on the PC knows that when an expansion pack comes out for a game, it's literally months, sometimes years before you even see something like that. So here we have the basic premise. Shit rolls downhill. Let's jump over to Street Fighter V now. Microtransactions. You have the ability to play and unlock all the characters. There's also the option to actually just unlock everything. Is there any way that this could roll downhill? Is there any way that this could bite gamers in the fucking ass? Think about it. Every aspect of gaming that you find negative has rolled downhill. It has gotten worse in some fashion or form because gamers supported it or they shrugged it off their shoulders. They ignored it because it doesn't affect them now. But how is Capcom putting microtransactions in their games going to affect you later on? When Capcom creates a game that maybe even you like for a franchise that they haven't touched in a while, and they're going to be like, hey, you know what? They didn't complain about the microtransactions in Street Fighter V. So why don't we take this, RPG game that we haven't done anything with for like fucking years, and let's just jam them microtransactions up the ass in this game. Let's take this fighting game, this action-adventure game, whatever the case may be, and let's cram as much microtransactions. And you want to know something? Something tells me that even AlphaOmegaSin would do a video, and he would be fucking pissed if some shit like that happened. But at the same very ideology, it would be his own fault because he supported and allowed and didn't even really talk about how negative that these microtransactions are. All he did was gave Capcom a pat on the back. Good job. You're going back to what you were. But how can a company go back to what they were if their games are still infested with something like a microtransaction? Would it not have been better for Capcom to come out and be like, we're not going to have any DLC whatsoever. We've put a ton of unlockable secrets, characters, and other stuff in the game. Not only that, if you don't have the time to play the game to unlock that shit, we've also incorporated old school controller button codes so you can unlock all the shit that way. That would be Capcom going back to what they were. But remember, shit rolls downhill, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to sit there and you're going to defend these microtransactions by saying, yeah, but you can unlock them in the game, so what are you complaining for? Well, you already seen AlphaOmegaSin tell you why microtransactions are bad. You cannot sit there and complain about one game and not do it for another game because you're having a fanboy moment. I have nothing against AlphaOmegaSin, but I have everything against dishonest gamers. Because as gamers, we should be honest with ourselves. We should be honest with what these developers are doing. Street Fighter V is not a positive thing. At best, it's 50-50. It's only 50% positive. It sure as fuck ain't 100% positive. And remember, shit rolls downhill, ladies and gentlemen. So are you going to be part of the problem? Or are you going to be part of the solution?